Teething problems. Right. Hello. I first picked up OBS in 2014 and started live streaming music on Twitch. Since then, I have learnt a lot. Why is my camera like this? This week I've come full circle. My app, QCam Presenter, now supports live streaming, and finally I have one app that does everything I need. Hello, this is Squares TV app number 104, and I'm in a small box. This is because I added camera cropping, and now something crazy has happened that I do not understand. And it's making me kind of think, what has happened? I can't just do this from a small box the whole time, but why am I cropped weird? Let me just check I'm not like on the test renderer, because I've been trying out a new renderer. What do I even do here? This is Squares TV app lab number. Give me USB video. Be on this. I do not know how. What if we like go onto camera settings, we zoom in a bit, we zoom out a bit, but why is it in a little weird box? I guess. Right. Hi, I'm Michael Forrest. I make things, Video Pencil, QCam Presenter, among other things. Like this. This is some other stuff I've made. So let's get into the updates. Right. Oh, this is a disaster. Can I share? Can I I'm just gonna try quitting and coming back, because it wasn't doing this 5 seconds ago. Oh, it's because I quit Discord, I think, because I was streaming to Discord. Let me just try that quickly. Let me just see if I can quit out and come back. Hey, can you hear me? Hey, Justin. I should be connected again. Whee! Okay, and I'm full screen. Hooray! So we can get on with the show without it being completely insane. Right. Number 104. Going to updates. Right. Guess what? I'm going to tell you about the big QCam update in a moment. But in other news, I have some special offers. Lots of discounts on Video Pencil and Shoot, because I'm going away for a few days and I'm actually going to take a little bit of time off, so there won't be a webinar on Monday. There will the week after that, but you'll see that in QCam anyway and on the website. So while I'm away, I thought let's do a little discount, 30% off, up to 30% off purchases in Video Pencil and up to 100% off stuff in Shoot. So if you want to sort of see what's in there, then you might just have to check and have a look. And just remember, if you ever do buy a lifetime Shoot purchase, if you then buy QCam, it's going to give you way too much of a discount. So, because I have not made it actually look up how much you paid yet. So. Right, that initial start to the stream was a bit of a pain. I'll tell you what, because I've been going onto Discord live, and then I think when I quit Discord, it affected the camera resolution for some reason. Then QCam didn't know what to do. So we find these edge cases and we fix them as we go. I also did some work on the first use QCam experience after, I think, another productive webinar on Monday. And so I did a devlog on that if you want to go and have a look. It's the one with this thumbnail. It just shows some stuff I've done to improve that kind of blank canvas effect in QCam in a script. So hopefully, Justin, it makes you feel a bit less like you're starting again every time you come back to it after a few weeks. I'm hoping it's sort of oh no, okay. I'm hoping it's a bit more self-explanatory now, but it's going to be an ongoing process to start getting that stuff in. So if you want to see the rationale and what went into that, that's there. So that's all the updates for today, because I want to talk about the big news. Because before I tell you about live streaming in QCam Presenter, I'm going to tell you about my own journey with live streaming. So this is me, Michael's live streaming story, just so you sort of see where I've been and how I've come to where I am today. Right. So back in 2014, I moved from London into a studio flat in Berlin with only a handful of Facebook connections in the city to draw on for company, which meant I spent a lot of time alone, and at some point I ran out of TV shows to watch on my laptop, and that's when I started like going into YouTube, and then I discovered Twitch. And Twitch in 2014 was really the Wild West. Everything felt like uncharted territory. I saw people playing games, but then they had like a green screen, and I was like, what? Like, what? Just random people with green screens? And then they had all these overlays, and you'd see these $20 donations coming in, and it was like they were just chatting and playing a game, and they were making money, and I was like, this is crazy. This is exactly the opposite of what your parents tell you about video games, right? And there was no content ID, so they could play any music they wanted as well. So I followed this one middle-aged guy who would go live in his messy little spare room and then crank up Timber by Pitbull and just like dance like this, like violently dance and yell into this headset mic while donations were coming in. And I think he worked on an oil rig, and it was just nuts. But I'd gone to Berlin to get live music gigs, to play as regularly as possible in a place where people might actually have some time to come and see me, unlike London, where everybody's just in a hurry to get home after work. Everyone lives somewhere different, or they just stay in the pub all night. And I just wanted to, so I was there for streaming, and I was getting gigs, sending out emails, and I had a few, but not enough to do that 10,000 hours Beatles Hamburg thing that I wanted to do. So I thought, hey, streaming's interesting, but I didn't want to play games, so I tried live music instead. So those, and it was weird because those first live music streams actually felt like sort of similar to real gigs, but I could just do them every night. So, you know, it was the same sort of like adrenaline, but I didn't have to pack up all my gear and wire everything up again every time. Like, which is just, you forget a cable and everything's just bad. So I could just go live in my room, and unlike a live show on a stage, I could actually talk back and forward with the audience throughout, something that, you know, I was like, well, that's never been possible before, just to be able to like chat with people while you're doing stuff, or like hear from them and talk to them. Like it was very interesting. And like my first streams looked pretty bad. Like this is sort of like what that little room looked like, and I'll sort of show you that early thing. We need to switch profiles for that to work. Let me just come backwards and forwards. So I'll show you kind of like one of the early streams. It's kind of me in my little folk shirt with kind of some speakers I bought, and then there's these racks and some sort of music gear. And then later I tried some stuff with like background visuals like this, but you'd see it's like I was trying to, it just didn't look good. I had a projector, so I was seeing if that would work, and then eventually I got this. Sorry, it's like playing it. It's opening new tabs. I got this kind of backdrop with some. So you see, as time went on, I was able to sort of just start sort of developing what that looked like and make it feel a bit cooler. So this is actually like a sheet with like a brick pattern on it that I just hung up on the walls, and I'd just take it down every night and hang it back up in the evening to go live at 7. So I'd go live for 2 hours, and you know, I sort of shone some lights. I was like slowly figuring out how to do the photography part of it. I already knew the audio stuff, so I played 2 hours every night, and you know, after a while it started looking okay. And that's when I built Shoot, which is you know, my webcam app, which just gives you like a clean camera because I just couldn't find a clean camera in the App Store, and I just wanted to be able to use my phone as a camera, not the laptop camera, which was just terrible. And so, you know, I built that. Well, I actually spent I didn't do much. All I had was an App Store description and like the UI, and an icon, like Shoot, the name I just thought of in 10 seconds, made a little camera icon from like the default icon. It was grey. Threw it up there because I thought, well, if I can't find it, maybe someone else will want it. Like maybe someone else will need it. And an early version of Shoot, like I was being quite experimental with this, so I had all my own sort of.
It for this one, just perfectly still.
I had all my own like visuals and layers and things like that, and then I was experimenting with nonsense like this. So if I stand still, like doing some face detection, see how that works. You see I just like went to the laptop to turn it on, do a little dance. So this was in an early version of Shoot. So you know, that's, yeah, so that was how Shoot was. So, you know, like as I developed that music live streaming over time, I did sort of start to develop like multi-camera stuff, and I have a YouTube video on my channel showing how I set up OBS with multiple camera views using Shoot and a DSLR or a GoPro to try and make sort of like engaging live streams. So that's.
If it takes 10,000 hours to become a great live performer.
So this sort of shows you how to sort of set up OBS, shows you how to kind of like wire up your camera, shows you how to, and this has got, well, like 16,000 views. So this was my sort of studio when I moved back to London. And you see I'm sort of showing you how I've got like, I'm setting everything up, how I'm cropping it, how I'm doing the audio. So I did make a YouTube video on my channel to sort of show how to do all this stuff. And so like I was back in London by then, and the next big chapter for me was podcasting. So I started podcasting in 2018 or maybe 17 with my friend Ivanka. And when we started out, we'd like record for a couple of hours, and then we'd spend, you know, it would be every week. We'd record for a couple of hours every week, and then I'd just spend the best part of a day editing it every time. And so this is the website. It's got all of these, you know, we did like 200 episodes in the end. And so after like maybe 100 or so episodes, we both developed enough confidence on mic that I started to push to change it to a live stream instead of an edited thing, just because I kind of wanted my Mondays back. But I did want the live version to feel similar to the edited version, which meant setting up a title sequence and like music breaks and all that kind of thing. So I didn't just want it to feel like I wanted it to feel good, you know. I wanted it to feel like something, not just like you know, sorry, I'm just like paranoid that I'm not still live because I'm streaming for the first time with QCam. At least it's 1080p, right? But yeah, I wanted it to have a bit of structure, so it's like title, music, then like an intro, and then like a, you know, a bit of a first chat, and then like a music break. So I had all these little music breaks, and then we'd chat on the second subject, and then music break, and then so it was quite, you know, there was a bit of production to it. So it was, I wanted to sort of retain that in a live stream. So I actually have a video on how I did that, which essentially involves like setting up all these scenes, which, you know, I had like my intro, outro graphics, my intro, outro transitions. I've sort of like written what function keys they're mapped to, and then here's like I would load up these different like little video clips with music every week. So I'd be shooting stuff on my phone, and then I'd throw, you know, put those in OBS. But you can see you know, I've got like this. Here's like a master scene, and then that's used as a, you know, used as a layer in another scene. So it was a very sophisticated like OBS setup that I was using in order to do that. And again, there's a video on my main channel just showing how I do all that. And actually one of the big parts of that was getting the audio. So we would be talking on Zoom or like FaceTime in this case. And so, you know, I'd have to, you know, set up here's the FaceTime source. We set the volume to that, and then we send that into the headphones so I could hear Ivanka. But then I'd also take my mic and I'd put that in there, and I'd like, that would get mixed in as a little mixer. I'd have 2-channel mixer. I would do a little bit of like a limiter, and then I would just put that into that's like the, what is that? Like, that's the output device. So I've got the head, oh yeah, and I think, yeah, there's the black hole, like the virtual mic that I'm piping that into. So I had to do all this kind of convoluted stuff to make this work. And like, you've got multiple apps running, so it's just a bit of a headache. So we're doing that, we're going on with that, like that podcast every week. And then the next big event that happened was 2020. Have you heard of this? So in March of 2020, two things happened. First, a global pandemic, and the second, app sales for me. So Shoot, you know, that little camera app that had taken me an afternoon to build, was making hundreds of pounds a day all of a sudden. And so I was like, you know, I didn't know how long that would last or why it was happening or who was using it. But over the next few months, I did start to figure that out. I initially assumed it was musicians like me who'd seen my video and like found Shoot, but it was like a lot of people. So I I started talking to people, like put a quiz in the app and like asked people what they were doing, and then like got their emails and like emailed them, and then got on a video call with them, which was very scary for me because like I really didn't want to do it to start with. But I found out that there were lots of different kinds of people who wanted to upgrade their webcam, augment their remote video, create content for YouTube, or look better in Zoom calls. I spoke to school teachers, online business owners, magicians, drag queens. A lot of people had to figure out remote video at the same time. And luckily I had this head start from my Twitch streaming. And also, you know, I haven't mentioned, like when I was in Berlin, I was doing remote work for companies based in London, Hong Kong and San Francisco. Like, so I've been doing like remote work for, you know, over a decade by that point, at least a decade, well, probably longer, yeah. So I had a huge head start on all this stuff. So I felt like I had a lot to share there. So that's when I created Squares TV to start like figuring all this stuff out. Which I don't like how long it's taking to load. But so I started out like, you know, posting little blog posts. So we've got like how to draw on a camera, how to like audio guide for pro, you know, music streamers, how to sync audio, you know, all these different little guides that I started putting together to see what people were interested in. And I was like interviewing people. So Paul Duquesne did a really good interview with me, and his live stream, you see like, there's similar but like way better production values than I could manage, and I still tune into him every week when he goes live on a Friday on Twitch. But yeah, I learned, you know, I was learning stuff, recording interviews with different types of content creators, and throughout this I was you know, trying out little tools and ideas. So like, do I do stuff for Twitch, because that's kind of like my background, where I've come from, but you know, other stuff. And just one little thing I did was the delay calculator, and that sort of like was where, you know, just my mic is off, why that was one of the things that really like opened some doors. But yeah, I was learning from a lot of different people, and I think I was in a good position to solve their problems. So another thing I created was Beat Sheet. So I was talking to a realtor who did a regular conference call like live stream, and he wanted to plan like this run of show and like run through the Ecamm scenes automatically. So it's sort of like, okay, you see, like when he said that, I was like, I needed that for my podcast as well, but I didn't feel justified in building it. But now I know that other people might want it. I'm gonna jump in. So you know, instead of like having to use a spaceship, you know, to control it, you can just kind of go like next, previous. And I just that's something, you know, I've always, you know, wanted to be able to do, not just in podcasting, but also in music performance. Like this idea, like Ableton has Ableton Live is like music software that has this similar like grid problem where you have like, here's all my play buttons, and here's my clip, and here's my clip, and here's this and that. And like once you start wanting to go but as a musician, I just want to go next. So I'd had sort of like for ages I'd been like kicking around ideas like this, which is a little kind of a project that I was working on ages ago to sort of make a sort of iPad app that would let me jump through, codename Monkeys, jump through songs in a sort of linear sequence, but then be able to jump out and improvise. So, you know, sort of similar to all this stuff. I'm looking at the competitors, looking at what these things do, audio, visuals, and I also wanted visuals as part of it. So, you know, I've sort of been interested in this stuff for ages, and kind of looking at different music software. That's mine. I was doing some stuff with that, and I sort of ended up coming up with, this is like, I just wanted to show you a couple of, you know, this was my idea, like, okay, we've got like a timeline that is just sort of like playing, but we can like tap it and it'll go into loop mode, and that's just got my beats and stuff, but then I can also like do stuff on here, maybe have virtual instruments or something. And I was doing stuff like, this was kind of what the design, I kind of, it was the skeuomorphism era, so everything's, you know, a ruler on a desk. So this was stuff I was kicking around, trying to see if I could make it look good. This was like, okay, my song, I can see my set list, I can put some notes in if I need to remember the trumpet part, you know. So there's that was some stuff, you know, put a note to remind myself. So I've been sort of interested in thinking about that stuff. And Beat Sheet took a few days to build, but for a certain audience it was quite popular. And so the next thing, like, was what I would say was Video Pencil, which this is not. videopencil.com. So you know, with Shoot, in fact, I don't think I need to be sharing a website for this. So with Shoot, my goal had always been to keep the video implementation as simple as possible. So I was like, don't complicate it. So literally all Shoot was it took the camera preview component on iOS and stuck it on the screen and kept the display from turning itself off. And so you could just plug it in with USB and mirror it into OBS, or use AirPlay and mirror it into AirPlay. There was no user interface, just a few gestures that you could look up using the App Store screenshots. And I only added the gestures because people started asking for, you know, new features like being able to switch to a different camera or lock the white balance. But over time it got to enough features to warrant, you know, buttons, and that was version 2.0. And that's when I added the Telestrator feature to it, like sort of as part of my conversations with other people. But, you know, I still wanted to keep things as simple as possible. But one day someone asked me this question that has essentially gripped my attention ever since, which was, you know, can you make it so that I can, I want to put this on screen. So can you make it so that I can draw on a camera feed from a different device? Can you make it so that I can like take my laptop's webcam and draw on it? And that was a big question. I was like, no way, I'm not touching that. Like, I'm keeping things simple, right? But, you know, it got me started. So I started to really, Video Pencil. So I started to really have to dive into the innards of, to make Video Pencil, I really had to dive into sort of Apple's frameworks, and, you know, I'm sort of like jumping into Metal to try and make sure it performs really well. Doing all this stuff with like audio stuff, visual stuff, networking frameworks. I first made it Video Pencil using NDI, and then I made my own networked video and remote control stack with a companion Mac app. I was like, well, I kind of want a simpler way to do this on Mac because NDI is a bit of a headache. And so I was just like, okay, I left Kansas behind, and I was in the land of just like everything is very serious now. I can't just like cheat. So and then that sort of like led to QCam Presenter, which kind of grew from a combination of, I would say, like Video Pencil. I'll tell you what's happening here. It's going to the wrong window. So it was a combination of Video Pencil and BeatSheet, basically. But that I could have on the Mac. So I just wanted a simple way to do all the stuff that my apps let you do. So it's got the teleprompter and the remote control sequencing features of BeatSheet, but it seamlessly connects to Video Pencil and Shoot to give you like a virtual webcam you can use anywhere. So I just think like that's really useful, and it just lets you control other apps or record video directly. And then last week, I added a feature that I've wanted for a very long time, which is live streaming, which is what I'm using right now to live stream. I can see my chat up on my teleprompter, my one chat message for today. And basically, I kind of feel like after 10 years, I've come full circle on this. So I've gone from hacking together stuff with OBS and like 27 different pieces of software to my own single app that kind of does everything I need. So as I say, one of the biggest problems in the early days of live streaming was the sheer number of apps that I had to run in order to go live. So I had OBS for my live stream and scenes. I used AirServer, which exposed a Siphon feed from my iPhone, which I could bring into OBS. I had a Blackmagic interface, but that needed an app called Black Siphon so that it could connect to the camera and then turn that into a Siphon feed and bring that into OBS. And I had Audio Hijack to mix my audio interface stuff, set up my monitoring, and a virtual mic to bring that into OBS. And then, you know, when I was doing more elaborate streams, I'd have an OBS plugin that I made installed and special firmware on my what's it called, the Canon. I'm not using the Canon special firmware anymore, but I was using the Magic Lantern or whatever it's called on my Canon camera to stop it from turning itself off. I had like a window sitting over here just with a green background and some stuff so that I could mirror it into OBS, because the Mac version of OBS kind of lagged quite a lot behind the Windows version. And so while I was, you know, over the years, those features kind of came in, and it got a Blackmagic connection, like device source, it got like a browser source. So I didn't have to like run quite so many applications at the same time, but, you know, there was a very overwhelming go live checklist, and you know, I've gone live more than once with no audio for the first 20 minutes, and then like someone would come on and discover that they would be like, I can't hear anything. I'd be like, oh, Jeez. So there are a lot of things that can go wrong, especially when you've got like a million apps to fire up. And so now I'm super excited that I can do everything I want with just one app, and there's no more loop back stuff, no more siphon utilities, no more like weird, the audio monitoring is built to make sense for live streaming, and you don't have to set up that convoluted audio hijack thing. It warns me if I'm too loud and uses LUFS metering, that's LUFS, and I can plan out my live stream and use my teleprompter and make it actually, it actually is more fun to be prepared for a live stream than just turn up and figure things out on the stream now. And I can make my videos and go live without having to touch any OBS or Ecamm configuration. I can just think about content, like that's all I have to think about. So I've learned a lot over the last 10 years of live streaming, and after watching Alex Lindsay and the Office Hours panel fielding questions about AV production, I'm pretty confident that I've brought the best practices available, not just from Twitch and YouTube, but from professional productions too. Except with QCam, you don't need a crew, you just need yourself and your Mac and maybe like an iPhone and an iPad. So that's sort of like my journey through this and what I brought into the design of QCam. So if it, if it looks like it does a lot, that's because it does. So now let me just show you the live streaming by jumping into another document, which is going to be like how to go live on YouTube with QCam Presenter. So first, make sure you're logged into QCam and have a suite plan. So this doesn't work with the Essentials plan, it's a suite plan thing. And basically you're going to open the live camera window with File, Live Camera, and you're going to add your YouTube channel. So there's a new button here, Go Live, and this is how to do it on YouTube. So you're going to add a YouTube channel. That's going to kind of like make sure you're signed in, and then you'll kind of click through the YouTube prompts and just grant it permission to be able to like look at your YouTube stuff. You link the channel, you click this Continue to QCam button, and then you will see any recent streams that you've set up, or you can create a new one, which is probably how you're going to do it. But you can always just like select one that's already there as well. So you can, but here I'll show you how to add a stream. And so basically this gives you a pop-up, you can drag a thumbnail in, here's me dragging a thumbnail in, you can set the start time and it will pick a sensible start time. If it sort of assumes you're kind of like you're going to start on the next hour basically. Give it a title, give it a description, and just click schedule now, and then it's going to just do that, and it's going to give you like the watch, just a thumbnail to just prove it worked. You can click on that to go to the watch page, or you can copy the watch page link, or you can open your streaming dashboard and just like hit OK. And so now when you're ready to go live, just click connect to YouTube in the live camera window, and this is going to send the live video to YouTube, but it won't actually yet be active. And I think, the way YouTube works is you can sort of like start streaming like from your desktop, but then there's like a go live button. And I kind of wanted QCam to feel like that. It works differently for Twitch, which just when you hit go live, because Twitch doesn't have that kind of staging mode, but I wanted it to feel native to the platform. So first, when you connect, it's actually going to kind of give you a link to your dashboard so you can see everything's okay, and then there's a go live button, or you can actually just press it on the dashboard as well. That's what I did today. And then you're live, and like I am, I'm using it right now. So if you have a teleprompter, you can just open QCam's teleprompter window and drag it into the teleprompter screen. So that's what I'm doing right now. And you're basically just going to see your, any chat window messages just kind of up there. So you're not going to have to hunt around for that little window or like do any awkward stuff. Like Ecamm, I can never find the window. It's going to make a little sound when someone says something, just the same as Ecamm. And but it'll kind of just be kind of pinned into your teleprompter, which I think is a nicer way to do it. Right, that's me for today. It feels like it's been a quiet one. I'm just going to sort of see who we've got. I see a couple of people are watching, but this is also about the playback. There is a Discord, so please come and find me on Discord. And there's not really anyone here, but I was thinking I did go onto Discord previous to going live, because I thought it's nice to have a little chat before, and then make a little green room chat, and then after I'm live, I want to sort of jump in there as well. But if there's no one here, I'm not going to bother. But like, shout if you want to see me on Discord now. If not, I'll just go and make some dinner. But that exists. That's where you can get help on all this stuff, and that's where I generally will be. I'll probably still be looking at it while I'm away. I'm back on the 25th, and so that's in time for the next but one webinar, and in time for the next live stream. So these are every 2 weeks anyway, so we're not missing anything. So I'm going to play us out. I'm going to play a bit of a 10-year-old live stream just for fun now, and I'm just going to quietly annotate this with Video Pencil to explain what's happening while you kind of watch 2015 Michael discovering something fun and musically on Twitch. And yeah, I'll see how long I let it play for. But thank you for watching. Take care. Give QCam a go. It's like, let me know if you find any issues, which you will. I'm getting some like API limit stuff keeps happening, so like there's some teething problems. Obviously, this is just what happens when you work this way. But yeah, the more people that try it, the better chance I have of catching the edge cases that I might not see if it's just me testing it. Anyway, thanks very much, and we are going to go over to an old thing. Oh my god, check this out. We can take a bit and trap it. So I can go, let's not have the weird voice, let's just have the echo. I can go, like...